Digital comics are a game changer. Now, don't get me wrong, my physical collection still grows by like a dozen issues every week or so, but something about having access to thousands upon thousands of comics in a small rectangle that fits in my pocket, it just works for me, especially as a busy dad. But my favorite app for reading digital comics right now is Global Comics. Global Comics is basically the home of indie comics. You've got publishers like Dynamite, Dark Horse, Image, and now DC. So if you can go to comicsaredope.com/global, you can actually save on their annual gold pass while supporting the channel. So again, visit comicsaredope.com/global to save. Well, guys, it seems like this is the month of returning guests to the show, and I, for one, am here for it. Now, the last time we spoke to this young man was just about a year ago, and we were promoting a Kickstarter campaign for this awesome book called Artificial about Vincent van Gogh, like fighting AI and all sorts of stuff. Like, that was an awesome project. And here we are nearly a year later with another awesome project that feels completely different from the last. And, you know, this guy's been busy. There's been a lot of books coming from the team over at Bent Box Comics. And so here to talk about all the good things, as well as the campaign live now for Refuge #1, is my man, Chris O'Hara. How's it going, sir?
It's going well, VJ. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem at all, man. It's fun when people want to come back. You know, I
Of
feel like
course, I'm a glutton for punishment. So you know what? I like public speaking, and I'm one of those weirdos. So you know, get me on a show. It's fun, and I like hanging out, talking shop with other people who love comics.
for sure. So I'll have to ask, man, what have you been up to the last year? How's Bent Box been doing?
So Bandbox has been doing pretty well. We've grown a decent amount. So it started out with, just my partner and I, John Shell. That's that. Um, Kind of our own books that we were producing. And then we slowly started picking up other, we wanted to make a publishing house for other indies that could basically almost like man, I can't remember how we described it, but it was basically like a commune of indies, basically coming together under one moniker called Bent Box Comics.
Mm.
That basically, as we grew with more and more people coming on, it kind of just became synonymous with quality and unique books and different, stories that you're not going to get anywhere else, specifically from the big two or big three, however many how many of the big guys you're talking about. So that's kind of how it's been going, and it's been growing in a really cool direction there. So like we started out with, I think last time I was on with you, we had like 5 books. I think we're at 13 now. And that's just in a year. So not bad. And they're not my books. So like it's not like I have 13 books out. It's we've partnered with some insanely talented creators, brought on creator-owned books. And now we just have a pretty cool, expansive library of very diverse stories. They go from everywhere from, sci-fi, fantasy, historical, horror, everything basically.
That is awesome, man. I'm looking at the website and just the amount of books that I don't recognize from the last time. We got Wingless here, and I love how different they all feel from each other.
Yeah.
Heathen, we got Artificial, Orium, The Last Wand, Worlds Forgotten, Our Monsters,
Hmm.
Blossom. Yeah, it's a really diverse slate. I think that's fun.
Yeah. We
That's
kind of
not
that's kind of, when we go to cons, it's tip, one part of our sales pitch is what are you into?
mm,
Because depending on what your answer is, we probably have it. So, someone's like, "Oh, I love horror books." We can boom, our monsters. You know what? I'm huge into high fantasy. Let's check out The Last Wand. It's nice to kind of have this diverse, just basically a plethora of whatever you want.
nice, right. And so you talked about it a little bit, but I'm curious as to how it feels for you, right? As a founder, uh, helping other people get their stories out there as opposed to a project for just yourself. Um, how does that feel? Is there a pressure there? Is there a certain thing where it's like, if my book fails, I'm good, but if somebody else's book fails, like how does that feel for you?
Yeah, I try my best honestly whenever so right now one of the main things that we quote unquote offer under Bentbox for creators who come on is where boots on the ground type salesmanship along with a pretty cool website to where you can put your stuff. You have a home for your stuff. People can buy it from there and then, we ship it out. So, but we're pretty obviously like mom and pop publisher at the moment, very small, very indie. But one of the things is like the boots on the ground stuff like Comic-Cons. I typically try and sell everyone's book but my own. The
Mm,
9 times out of 10, like, unless they specifically say, I'm really interested in Vincent Van Gogh versus AI zombies, unless
mm,
they specifically hit that, I'm like, check out this or that or this fantasy book or Wingless or Orium. Just because I love being able to have like a nice little rundown at the end of for all the creators and be like, hey guys, you sold this many books today, you sold this many books today, and so that's been a lot of fun. I'm not I'm notorious for not being a worrier. Like I just don't worry about things. It drives my wife crazy. She worries enough for the both of us. So, there's no reason for me to worry. Trust me. Uh, so when it comes to that kind of thing, I'm not really worried or anything per se. And also I am very confident in what we have. Like as you look through it, I honestly can't point to anything to be like, oh man, this is like the, you know, I don't know, like the lowest series we have, or the one that's
mm,
like, this one's okay, the rest are better, this one's okay. I can't point to any of the series that we have and say that about any of them because I love them all.
mm.
And it's been a point of pride of mine to where I feel like I have an eye for talent. I am able to I'm very personable, so I'm able to kind of make good connections with people, specifically these creators, being kind of in their shoes, being also a creator. So we're able to build relationships in that way. So it's been a lot of fun, and I will say that I've heard from a lot of people that we're doing it right, that they're more than happy that they have joined Bentbox. I have like 2 to 3 other creators with their series looking to join that I'm hoping to I'm in discussions with. So for all we know, in the next couple of months, it'll be 13 books, and that next month it'll be 16 books. So this this growth is a lot of fun, and as I've said to a lot of people, like this is fun for me. I like this. Hanging out
Yeah.
with you. This is where I love to be. I love to be in this situation. I love to be at a con in front of some rando who hasn't even picked up a comic book in 5 years, and they look at my stuff, and then I'm able to pitch them and sell them. That's where I am. I love that. Um, so yeah, this is fun for me. So no worries. It's just excitement and fun. That's all. I'm just having fun.
Nice, nice. Well, I'm glad. Like, there's a lot of I don't know, a lot of people kind of put pressure on themselves, and it's like we take this really fun hobby and make it something else, right? And so
Yeah.
it's good to see someone still having fun even while building something. Um, what would you say have been some of the biggest lessons you've learned throughout this process and bringing on more creators?
So like one of the things that I kind of learned very early on was humility. You're not the smartest person in the room. And if you are, you should probably find a different room. So like there's a lesson in humility that I don't think a lot of being a creator lends itself to like kind of I don't know. It's a weird dichotomy of like man, my book's really good and I need to sell it and this needs to be out there and I need to tell everyone. And then the inside artist, is like, man, this is hot garbage what I just
Mm,
did and I can't imagine anyone giving me money for this. What am I even doing here? So like there's those two like, beasts inside of you trying to figure out how to go about selling your comic, making comics and working with other creators and specifically collaborating with artists uh, you start to learn real quick that you just need to be humble and chase the better of the ideas. So um, that's been a real joy with working with a lot of my artists, specifically Gabriel Fonseca, Lucas Jensen with my newest book, which we'll promote in a little bit, Refuge, where if they have an idea, and we call this the rule of cool with Gabriel, if it's cool, we're going to do that. And if it's not what I wrote or not what I had originally envisioned, or if I even need to do a rewrite of the next 4 pages to fit this specific idea that came from someone else other than myself, let's do it.
Mm,
And that's because you have to be able to recognize that's a better idea than what I had. And there's humility in that. You have to be able to know that's people, a lot of people are better at what you think you're good at. So you got to trust people. Trust is a huge thing. Um, also empathy, being able to put yourself in other people's shoes. That's, I think, what really helps build, what is helping me build Bentbox, specifically with bringing on all these other creators. So I've, people who are writing. Ash is a recent one by a gentleman named Dan Loeb, which is basically about Irish immigrants. It's this drama. It's really gritty. It's not your superhero comic book, but being able to see his passion and see the talent that he has and see the vision he has made me immediately attracted to it.
mm.
So I immediately was like, hey, can we bring this under Bentbox? And he said yes. So now we're partnered with this gentleman named Dan Loeb with Ash, which is really cool. It's on our web. It's not on our website yet, but it's on Global Comics. So I don't even know if I answered your question, but
Yeah.
so some of the things I've learned is kind of just having trust, having empathy, having humility. Um, a lot of things that aren't, I don't know. I don't know if I would call those popular. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Or like
Yeah.
common.
Yeah.
So, which I think they're important if they're not common.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, especially when we talk about like indie comics, I feel like what people envy like the confidence. They envy like a sort of bravado because a lot of times, you know, creators don't necessarily have a problem with humility. They have a problem with self-esteem,
True.
right?
Yeah.
And so often, it's like, okay, what can I gain? What do I need to get to be better at this? It's like I need to develop some people skills. I need to like
Yeah.
develop some salesmanship and stuff like that. But I think humility and empathy, especially running a company, are super important, right? And I think maybe that's the difference. And it's kind of taking off the creator hat or taking off the salesman hat, putting on the creator hat for a second, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting because it's like you need all of those things, um, and they don't necessarily feel like they fit together, at least
Yeah.
not in conversation all the time.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'll just echo that. And, I don't know how much he appreciates me saying this specific thing, but with Dan Loeb's Ash, it's not necessary. And no, we've actually had a couple conversations with it, which is nice. The honesty that we're able to kind of have in connection with these creators, where he even admits, he's like, this isn't the most marketable comic. And so he was surprised that I was even interested.
Mm,
And I said, I'll take the challenge for sure. That sounds like a fun challenge, but it's also because I just asked him, I was like, what's your plans for this story? Like what's your goal? What's that last page? Everything like that. And as he's basically just vomiting information at me, I'm just seeing the passion. I'm seeing how much he's excited about his work. I can see the vision he has. I can see the final product seems like something that I would enjoy reading or would love to have. And that's what made me, go like, let's bring it on board. I'm gonna work my best to sell it. I want because right now it's just on a random website. And so if there's a way to where under Bentbox it can get more traction, maybe help it get to issue 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think he has a plan for 5. I'd rather I'd rather help him do that. And that even means if like Artificial 3 doesn't happen for another year, but Ash 2 happens, that's cool. I don't mind that. I don't know. There's something about it to where I really truly just like helping people. And I'm a huge fan of just people and working together and, this kind of stuff.
it's interesting because it's like the role you've kind of cast yourself into is part curator, it's like tastemaker,
Yeah, kind of.
And then, and then it also sounds a lot like sort of project manager as well. Um, I guess where do you develop the trust in yourself as, like, well, how is it that you're like, okay, whatever my taste is, or even like listening to someone else's taste, and like, where does that confidence come from to be like, you know what, I can spot a good idea whether it comes from me or someone else, and now let's move forward.
Hmm. But dude, I don't know. I would love to say I have an answer for that, but I really don't. I will say, as much as I do trust, I agree, and I'm not a huge fan of I don't take compliments well,
Hmm.
so I there is that bit of humility that sometimes goes too far, where it's like I just like okay, just stop talking about me for a second, please.
Uh-huh.
Um, Stuff like that though, where I have had people say things like that, like I have good taste or I have a good eye for things, and so I just try not to second guess myself. I don't second guess myself very much at all, and that also goes back to like Artificial One. That Artificial One was the first draft. There was no draft two. There was no draft. There was one draft, and then we made it. And I mean, from what I've heard and honestly what I believe, it's pretty good. Issue two went through many drafts, because I understood really what number two needed to be. Number one was just basically a vision that I had, and I made sure that vision came true, and that's all there was to it. Now, having the confidence to trust my own taste, I honestly I do rely on other people though. I'm by no means saying I'm like some savant of art. It's typically like I have a group chat with one of my buddies. His name's Ziggy. Shout out to Ziggy. I'll make sure to send him this. But I'll be like, hey, dude, what do you think of this page? It's by some random artist I've never heard of before. He lives in Portugal. It looks really cool. What do you think? And he'll be like, "Oh, it looks like it's got potential." Yeah, he's like, he'll kind of help me know I'm on the right track. He's a huge collector of comics, so I rely on people. I also don't just, only myself. I try and rely on others as best as I can. And then also, like I said, I just don't second guess myself. I'm sure one day it's going to bite me in the butt. I'm sure. But until that day, I'm trusting myself, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, man. No, you need that confidence for sure. Um, there's other questions I can ask along these lines, but I want to get to Refuge.
Okay.
Because the campaign is live right now. As we're filming this, it's what, day two of the campaign? Or
It's
we're just
basically
entering day
right
two?
past 24 hours, technically, because I went live yesterday at the time of this recording at 5 p.m. So
Got you. And so, yeah, by the time you guys see this, we're about a week into the campaign.
it'll be funded
And
by then, I'm sure.
it should be like, I mean, based
I would
on,
hope.
yeah, just based on the trajectory. Um, Now, what's interesting to me about this, well, I'll wait a second. So this is an all ages action adventure series about a young child soldier escaping the cruelties of war,
Yep.
where he's met by a terrifying presence. Um, but I got what took me by surprise with this is that it's a story with no dialogue.
Yep.
Where did that idea come from?
So you can thank John Shell, who used to be the co-partner or co-owner in Bentbox. Now he's kind of working more as like as a published author with his books under Bentbox because he's kind of focusing on his family, which is great. Shout out to John. He's about to have a baby, so it's awesome what he's doing. But he made a book called Blossom. If anyone's familiar with that, or if you're not familiar with that, I would highly recommend you go check it out. It's actually available to read for free on Global Comics right now under our profile. It is a completely what I call it. It was speech bubbleless comic. There's no dialogue. There's no narration. It's just the art tells the story. So it was so beautifully well done, and I loved how he went about it, and I wanted to kind of challenge myself to do it. So as I was writing Refuge, it lent itself. I didn't originally have it as a speech bubbleless book, But it slowly lent itself to being able to be, just led purely by the art. And then, and this is something that we can discuss more of because it's listed further down in the campaign
Mm,
whenever you want to go through everything. But it's also part of our Comics for a Cause initiative, which is another thing that I think Bentbox is trying to set themselves apart with. Um, and that's where a portion of the profits for some of our books go towards nonprofits and charities.
mm,
So my thought with Refuge would be to allow this book to go towards a prof or a non-charity called World Vision, which helps displaced children and basically refugees around the world, specifically children. So my thought there was if I could make a book that has basically no barrier to entry. There's no language barrier. You know what I mean? Like if
mm.
you give this to a child, a displaced child in Africa or Ukraine or wherever, some kind of struggle, whatever they're going through, any child could pick up this book and follow along. So we don't need to worry about that language barrier that we have. And at the same token, someone in America could pick it up and just read it to their kids and or just go through it and understand all the themes that we're expressing and experiencing with the characters and everything like that. So that's kind of first off, I wanted to challenge myself, see if I could do it. I will say it was a challenge uh, because there's no exposition. There's no like, and I've said this in a couple other shows I've done, but like there's no, single panel where the two characters are just chilling and you are able to just tell the story. Like, oh, this is what happened over the last couple years. That's not a thing.
Right.
To do this, you have to quite literally painstakingly plan every panel, every piece of the page, the flow. It all has to make sense to progress the story without the dialogue. So it's a challenge, but it's a lot of fun. So that's was the challenge was the big part of it, and then also to help it to be, as universal as possible.
Yeah, I love that aspect of it. I never thought about that part. Every now and then there's a, what we call a silent comic, if you
Hmm.
will. I think the last one, they just did a whole run of them with G.I. Joe.
Yeah,
But I didn't check
right.
any of those out. The first one I ever read was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think it's issue 113, but it's like a Christmas issue. Spoiler alert for those who did not read IDW's Turtles, but Master Splinter dies at some point in the run. And this issue is basically all the brothers kind of separately and together mourning the death of Splinter because it's the holidays and he's not going to be home for them.
Hmm.
And, there's something about like just kind of sitting in a moment with the character. I guess for a book that is solemn, that works, right?
Yeah.
This book, it's got those moments, but it's also got like, what seem like really action or like adventure oriented moments. Like there's a range of emotions that you feel looking at even just the preview pages. And that reminds me of that cartoon show. It's Primal.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I was out with my wife. We did like an anniversary, just book a hotel real quick, get out of the house, get away from the kids. And, we're changing to go somewhere and this show is on. It's like super
Hmm.
late at night. It's like 10 o'clock. And it's just this caveman, in the episode we were watching, it was basically him like befriending a dinosaur and fending off like other animals and stuff.
Hmm.
It's got this super epic score, but there is no talking in the show. And we're just
Yeah.
glued. Huh. And I
Yeah,
don't know if this was,
that's so cool, man. And I 100% I love that. And then when you were talking about the TMNT, that reminded me of there's an episode in Avatar: The Last Airbender where they kind of like go through all the parties are kind of split in a way and like Iroh is off by himself and it's kind of like speechless and it's all solemn and everything. And there was a purpose behind that because the voice actor had passed away.
mm,
But what was I gonna say? So the one thing I'm jealous of with that kind of stuff is the music.
mm,
You can say so much with music, and I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I was like, I have an idea for a pirate comic book or series that I would love to do that has like supernatural vibe to it, and I plan like this whole 5 page sea shanty, and I'm like, how does that work? I'm trying to figure out how that works in comic. And so like we're actually I'm planning it and trying to figure that out. But man, I'm so jealous of TV and movies having music because it's almost like a cheat code once you get into this idea of like this speechless silent comic book is like the amount of emotion and everything ambiance, everything you can kind of build into a scene, you can do it with music when the characters aren't speeching, if that makes sense. Uh, I'm a writer if you can't tell.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, to your point though, that it is engrossing that primal.
Hmm.
So hopefully I can do something similar. We'll see.
I mean, it's this definitely is off to a good start, right? I mean, there are sound effects, which does kind of help as well. Um,
Yeah. Which are
but
words in themselves, so it is a crack, it is a bang. We're trying to figure out ways to maybe make it more of a, just like a just like BRR. But then even that, you kind of, letters can be different in different languages, obviously, so those won't translate super well. So I mean, to be fair, yes, the sound effects might not be super universal, but you know, they're just kind of flavorings. I think the rest of the book should speak for itself, pun intended.
yeah, like to me, that's like, and I don't read a ton of manga, but that's like when I'm reading manga and, maybe I don't know what the characters mean, but it's
Yeah.
like they don't translate certain
Yeah.
characters on the page. It's just like, it's just a part of the design. And,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily try to guess. It's just, all right, well, this feels like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can kind of fill it in yourself.
Yeah. So tell us about this kid. What's his name?
So this is Pavel. Pavel is a child soldier. He fought in a civil war in his country. I'm leaving that all fairly vague.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can tell by the garb, it is kind of and the gun, if you scroll up one, it is kind of that Soviet era.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely meant to be kind of a past war. Um, So he's a child soldier that has escaped the battlefield. As he escapes the battlefield and is chased up a mountain, he comes across a cave in which he decides to take refuge.
Mm-hmm.
As he goes deeper and deeper into the cave, hearing the firings and cracks of more gunshots behind him, he runs into a unexpected presence.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
And that's basically it. I mean, that's the spoiler-free intro.
Got you. Man, this looks really cool. So I mean, obviously he's gonna have to feel like a deal with this presence. I guess I can make guesses as to how the story might go, but what's the fun in that? We got to read it.
Yeah.
So the plan is for this to be 4 to 5 issues. Um,
hmm
and how long is the story, or how long is each issue?
Each issue will be kind of your standard comic between 22 and 30 pages, depending. So that's one of the benefits to being a creator and not stuck with like another publisher. And this is one of the things that I try and say with some of our other creator-owned people who come on. I really have no input in their stuff. It's their story. They can make it as short as long as they want. So it's one of those things where it's nice to not be tied down to that. So I plan for in between just a nice, simple 22 to 30 page uh, each issue.
Got you. And the art in this is by Lucas Jensen.
Yeah, so Lucas Jensen is a young kid out of Brazil. Speaking of Brazil, Gabriel Fonseca was one of the artists that worked with me on Artificial. He's also from Brazil.
Mhm.
So I love Brazilian artists. There is something in the water. I don't know what it is, but it's good because they know how to draw. And this is Lucas. This is his first comic he's ever done.
Okay.
So I'm very proud for it to be my book. As you can tell, we have 3 covers. So I'm typically not one for variant covers. I'm a huge fan of just you see what you're going to get on
Hmm.
that cover. So obviously cover A is, if you scroll up, will be Lucas Jensen's cover. That's
Yeah.
the standard edition. I wanted that to be, front and center.
Hmm.
And then I had some ideas for covers that I was like, "Ah, I just gotta go for it." So this is Gabriel Fonseca. Once again, mentioned him. He did work with me on Artificial. I just love him so much. He's just so freaking talented. He can do literally no wrong in my eyes.
Hmm.
So this was one where I just said, "Hey man, let's make Pavel in the middle of the woods and let's mess with silhouette." And this is what he came up with. I'm like, "Hey, it works."
Nice.
It's amazing. I love this cover so much. And then Brian Middleton is actually from Ohio. I ran into my hometown's up in Pennsylvania. I ran into a local comic book shop up there, and the guy actually mentioned, I mentioned I'm a creator and I'm making books, and he asked, he goes, "Oh, do you know Brian Middleton?" I said, "No." And he goes, "He's a good friend of mine. He does comic book art." And so he
Mm.
turned me on to this guy. This was like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago before I actually had finished Refuge. And I looked at his work, and it's very Calvin and Hobbesy.
Hmm.
And, without giving away too much, that is definitely a vibe I'm going for with the series, is a very Calvin and Hobbes type adventure. So it was kind of like a match. It was like a no-brainer. I was like, I need you as a variant artist because this just matches the vibe that I want to have. And spoiler alert, there's going to be a couple sequences in the future issues that I'm going to utilize him as an artist for, like, kind of like some fa flashback sequences and dream sequences and stuff like that, just to kind of give you a variation in the art style, and also because I just love his stuff. It's so well done.
Nice. And so there's a lot of rewards here. Obviously we've got digital tiers. Um, there's a digital deluxe edition where you get all of the covers included in your file, plus some bonus back matter. And then,
Hmm.
of course, we've got the physical tiers here. And what I love about this is each of the physical tiers comes with the PDF, so that you can enjoy it, from the device of your choice. That's dope.
Yeah. And it's the digital deluxe, by the way. So everything comes with all physical tiers come with a digital deluxe.
Yeah.
So you got that. But yeah, and we also tried to, price this thing. I mean, feel free to comment on it if it's incorrect or not. But we tried to price this pretty reasonable in comparison to many Kickstarters out there. I'm not trying to price gouge people. I want to make, once again, the barrier to entry as low as possible.
Yeah,
So it's a
for
pretty,
sure.
low cost.
Yeah, all three covers for $25 is a steal. And then $8 for the cover A and 10 for the variants. Like that's not bad at all. It's definitely lower priced than a lot of Kickstarters that I've seen.
Good, good. And then we have some
Stickers here.
add-ons. We got a sticker sheet, nice size sticker sheet, that Lucas did. He made some fun stickers that kind of capture the essence of the book. We obviously have the poster pack, which is just all three covers. And then this will be the first time we offer a coloring book because, once again, this book is technically aimed towards not necessarily children as much as just younger readers, I guess would
Hmm.
be the better way to put it. I wouldn't even call it young adult, just younger readers. But I'm also making it to where, I'm not putting myself up there with the same quality or tier as The Wild Robot. I don't know if how many people are familiar with that movie that just came out. It's phenomenal, but it's definitely, I'm trying to hit that stride of kids love it and adults love it, so it's for everybody. But this is something that you could snag and have your kids color along with the story as you read it. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Nice. I was just watching my friend Taylor. Taylor Talks Comics here on YouTube. His son did a shelf tour where we're going through his son's graphic novel collection. I don't know how old Riley is. He can't be more than like 10, but
Okay.
he's got like every YA book I can ever think of. He's got all the Captain Underpants, all the things.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah.
but what brought him to mind is you mentioned the wild robot specifically, and it was funny because there's a whole segment of the video where he's talking about how, the movie was cool, but the book was better.
Yeah.
And
As it is typically.
right, right.
Yeah. So, well, that's something we're gonna try and aim for. I would love, I'm not a small idea guy. That's probably another reason why I'm hopeful that we continue to grow Bentbox in the way that we are. But it's because I'm not like a small idea guy. So like it'd be really cool to see this as a movie one day. And that's another reason why a lot of the way I write it is very cinematic. I'm trying to be like cinematic with how I'm writing it because I'm envisioning it as like camera angles, how the pacing would work. So yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. And so the coloring book, I didn't scroll down far enough before I pledged. I might have to might have to change my pledge because my
And
4-year-old will
yeah,
be
tag it
all
on,
over the
man.
coloring book.
Yeah. Then we
Uh,
got so stretch goals.
mhm.
Uh, this is another one where we're swinging for the fences with these. We have a pretty cool little setup here. As we get closer to each stretch goal, there will be footprints in the snow, and the bags will open up. So once we unlock five, it'll open up and show you exactly what you're getting.
Nice.
So we have some really cool stretch goals planned for this. Now, as much as I'm a big idea guy, I'm also a realist.
Mhm.
I'm not too worried about hitting 10,000.
Mm.
It would be really cool, but I'm not too worried about it. I would love to be worried about it if everyone out there would like me to be worried about it. Feel free. Let's spread the word and get 10,000.
Right.
But 8,000 is maybe I could spoil it maybe on this.
Okay.
Why not? Would you like an exclusive?
Hey, listen, I'm all for exclusives.
Okay. Well, Tommy with World at War Comics might be mad at me about it because I didn't tell him. I kept it secret on his podcast. Well, anyway, 8,000, we were thinking about doing something a little different. Now, peek behind the curtain with me as a creator. If you are not a creator, you would kind of need to know some of this information. It's very expensive to make a comic book.
For sure.
Um, the reason why our goal is $4,000 is because it quite literally costs about $3,500 to make this book. The rest will obviously go towards shipping and printing. More than likely, I'm going to have to be paying some out of pocket, which I don't mind, but that's why I didn't make it $5,000.
Mm.
Um, so that's just kind of peek behind the curtain. That's how much a comic book costs, and sometimes it's much more. So my thought was, you know what? If we hit 8,000, that technically pays for the second issue. Second issue is already written. I asked Lucas if he'd be interested in just continuing as we go if we hit 8,000. So my thought with 8,000 would be you get both issue one and issue two with your pledge. I
Wow.
have there's no reason for me not to spend the money on the project. That's another reason why I love doing what I'm doing. I don't want to pocket $4,000 because there's no reason there. It's just going to go back in the series anyway.
Mhm.
So it's kind of be one of those things where if you don't mind waiting, I think he said he can get it done in about 3 months. If you don't mind waiting another 3 months, you're going to have issue one and issue two in your package for $8 if you buy just a single issue.
That's
So
dope.
I don't think anyone's done that before. And no one might ever do it because I don't think we're going to get to 8,000. But this is your little taste of, hey, help us get to 8,000. You can get two comic books out of this bad boy.
Sheesh. That's amazing. And so we've got the creator bios here. I love this photo here.
Yeah, it's just vacation with my wife. Me acting embarrassing. That's what I do.
And
And
then
then
this,
Lucas, that fresh young face. I think he's 20. I can't remember how old he is. He's like 22 or 23 or something like that. Oh, actually, no, I think he's 24. He just turned 24. But yeah, he's just a young kid and he's very talented. I just love the artist down in Brazil.
yeah, I got a submission a while back. Went to my PO box and I had some comics from a guy from Brazil. And I don't know what it is about Brazil, but they just breed them down there.
Yeah.
Like,
Everyone has a style too. Like
yeah.
I think I've only met like one or two that have like a similar style, but for the most part, they don't even look the same. The art styles. So like it's incredible. And no offense to you Americans out there, but typically the westernized art style for a comic book is kind of cookie cutter-esque. It's very similar throughout, any book you pick up. But you go to Brazil and this guy, you could tell an artist from a mile away. And it's crazy how good they are. So I just love working with them. And they're also super cool and very nice.
Yeah, I think there's something about like just the international, like just going overseas, there's a respect for just kind of the art of cartooning.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
even going to like, the Duck comics. I'm just finishing up a Mickey Mouse book from France that got translated into English. Gosh,
Yeah.
what's it called? It's not here on top, so I can't read it, but it's just amazing. This like steampunk Mickey Mouse book
Yeah.
that's been out over there for ages, and it's just like that's what they do. But so there's a certain love for that. And maybe it's just because there's more for them to choose from. I feel
Yeah.
like here, once something works once, that's just what we get
It's the
over
formula.
and over
You know what
again.
I mean? We're very algorithm driven and formula driven, and if it works, it works. So why would you change it? Which I get, but at the same time, that's not how that's not how you get 13 different looking comics, which is what
Right.
we have.
Right. And so we've got more information here about the Comics for a Cause initiative.
Yep.
Um, and I do think I love when, because it's easy to be like, oh, we're going to donate something to charity. But like, I love it when it all makes sense together. Like this organization that you're donating to makes sense even for the story. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's
Yeah, I
exciting
appreciate it. That's something. So, if anyone's familiar with the indie comic space, typically, unfortunately, what kind of sells is more, it's either more aimed towards it's adult themes or drama seems to
hmm
be just something that kind of plagues. I'm going to use the word plague because I feel like it's a plague on the indie scene is just drama. And there's no reason for it at all. And so John and I, who I mentioned earlier with Blossom, we actually sat down and we said, how do we separate Bentbox from all of the drama farming publishers and creators out there? And so we're like, well, let's just do the literal opposite. Let's just give back. Let's just find a way to give to charity or something. And I mean it was also so it's half a marketing ploy, just to be completely honest, because it was definitely like we need to set ourselves apart. How do we set ourselves apart? And then coming up with this comics for a cause idea, we just fell in love with it. So we threw ourselves fully into it and we are now writing books specifically to join the Comics for a Cause initiative. Now, obviously, like Artificial doesn't really have a ton that it could go to. It could go maybe to like a small art program somewhere in like
hmm
inner city, like stuff like that, because it is kind of a love letter to human creativity. That's what I call it. But not everything has like a cause that it could go to.
hmm
Refuge was one that I specifically wrote for the Comics for a Cause initiative for refugees. I just felt like it would be perfect for it. And yeah, so like I appreciate that. Like a Blossom goes to something called the Smile Train Foundation, which helps kids all across the world with cleft lip and palate. Um, Wingless goes towards a foundation called Tiny Superheroes, which gives capes to kids in the hospital and have like little patches for them and pins that go on the capes. It's really cool. So like I really want to work with them to create like a wingless patch that can go on some of the capes and everything like that to really synergize this program with the foundations it's supporting. So yeah, I appreciate that, and it's kind of just a way to help set us apart. I want to make comics something that it not only doesn't help you escape, but it also will help someone across the world, and you'll know that you had a part in that.
for sure. I love that there's a pledge that you guys won't be using generative AI in any of this.
Yeah, that's the Bent Box promise. There will be no AI.
And
I like human art.
right. But one thing that I noticed when I went to back the campaign myself, there is actually a tier or an add-on where you can get access to the entire Bent Box library on Global Comics.
Yeah.
And Global Comics, they've been a partner of this channel off and on for a few months now.
Oh, cool.
And what I've enjoyed about Global Comics and being a Gold Pass member is the fact that their comics really are global. It's not just that they have like, big two comics or most of the major
Hmm.
indie publishers, but like literally, if I wrote a comic today, I could put it on Global Comics tomorrow. How has that platform been helpful for you guys getting the word out or getting new eyes on your content?
I mean, that's another thing that was interesting. John and I were like literally, I think, on our way back from a Comic-Con. And it was before the Comics for a Cause idea, and we were just trying to figure out. It was also Comixology was still like kind of like petering out,
Mhm.
and we weren't really sure what was going to happen next, and how do we get on digital? And digital is a really big part of the space. I mean, from a monetary point of view, it's like printing money. You don't have to pay for printing or shipping or anything. It's just here's our book.
Right.
So digital's huge, especially for indie creators. It just helps the bottom line. It helps us to be able to create more books. So we wanted to figure out what that would be. We saw Global Comics and we immediately were like, make an account as soon as we get home. Let's make an account, put every book we have on so far on there, and let's see what happens. So Global Comics has been fantastic for us so far. We have I think we got on there maybe last year, like early last year, something like that. So we've only been on there about a year and a half. So we went from obviously like 0 followers and we are closing in on 700. So we're slowly bumping up and we're kind of ramping up. It's a huge part of our marketing is Global Comics. Um, Now, I do know that, I mean, for an indie creator, 700 is actually pretty high. So I'm very proud of that. I think we're going to continue to grow it. We're continuing to put incentives on it. Like we have a free series called Bentbox Shorts, where this is another way of us trying to give back to indie creators. So if we find indie creators who have short stories that they don't have a home for and they're just sitting on a Google Doc or whatever, or Google Drive, we say, hey, just put it on our channel. We're growing and it'll get eyes on your project. We'll make sure to link your profiles there. That way, if people want to find more of your work, they'll come. So, like, I think our Bentbox Shorts channel has like 5 to 7 thousand views. We have a bunch of different short stories on there. So, that's been a lot of fun. But it's been a huge part of our marketing, specifically the crowdfunding feature. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
But like Refuge, as soon as I pressed go live on Kickstarter, I made sure to launch Refuge on Global Comics, the preview, and then you just have it linked right to the Kickstarter. So the cool thing is as much as you want an email list, that's one of
Mhm.
your things, right? So our email list I think is around 550 so far. It's not great. It's not amazing, but it's growing, and that's another benefit to being part of Bentbox is we all share emails as we grow our own IPs, and so it just kind of benefits everybody. When John puts out Wingless, it's gonna basically ping everyone that backed Artificial and Blossom and everything, so that we can just continue to grow fans.
Right.
So that's the benefit with Global Comics is those 700 followers, they get a ping. Refuge has just been released by Bentbox Comics, currently crowdfunding. It's basically so our email list is 650 plus 700. So whatever that math is. So I'm not a mathematician.
1350.
So yeah, that's I trust you. So so that's the benefit to it. We're using it quite literally as a marketing tool. So far it's going well. I've been kind of not lazy, but I just haven't utilized it as well as I could have when it
Mhm.
comes to the specific links with Kickstarter. So I specifically made a link for Global Comics because I'm really curious how many backers we get specifically from Global Comics.
Yeah.
That'll kind of give me an idea of how much I really do need to put into this platform as a marketing tool.
Yeah.
So that's another part of the whole growth and being a publisher and learning as you go, is all these these little things. But yeah, Global Comics has been fantastic, and they've even gotten to a point where I love the management and the ownership. They're
Mhm.
super cool. They're down to earth. When we were just a creator, I really wanted us to be labeled as a publisher because I wanted us to have that moniker of some form of validity. It would
Right.
be a publisher badge. And I put in for it and it just sat there and they weren't processing it for us. And how much they want me to say this, I don't know. But I just DM'd the owner and said, "Hey man, I'm trying to be a publisher. We got a lot of stuff, big things coming. We are big fans of your platform. Think you could help us out with that?" And I think it was like 3 hours later, he goes, "Done."
Yeah.
And we were a publisher on Global Comics. So I've had private conversations with Chris, the owner. It's been
Mhm.
a lot of fun. So Global Comics is amazing. Maybe one day they'll sponsor our content as well.
That would be awesome. That'd
We'll
be
see.
awesome.
We
What do
actually
they
have an
got?
ad. We have an ad in almost all of our physical books for the back page typically is a Global Comics ad. And like follow us on Global Comics for free books and so yeah, big
Nice.
fans.
Nice. Yeah. I got a chance to meet uh some of the team when I was at New York Comic Con last year. But I do like that it's, it's a startup. And so they're
Yeah.
very nimble, right? Some stuff just kind of happens on the fly, right? Like
Yeah.
you talk to the right person, you can get stuff done really quickly.
Yeah.
Um, and I love that, it's kind of that bridge because for as long as I've been doing this, it's like there's the big two stuff.
Yeah.
There's like, trying to get your stuff distributed through Diamond, which I guess is not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Then it's like if you either get comic shop distribution or you are thugging it out on the convention circuit and on crowdfunding. And there's not
Yeah.
really a lot of in between or crossover in between those worlds. And so I love that this is at least one platform that's kind of helping to bring all of that stuff together. And so now I can see, Refuge on a digital shelf next to Batman. And that
Yeah.
means something.
Yo, it's super cool. Like that, dude, one of the coolest parts was when we got labeled as a publisher, I had to go, I'm like, okay, let me look for us on the publisher list. And I'm
Mhm.
like, DC, Dark Horse, Image, Bentbox Comics. I'm like, okay, cool.
Right.
That works for me. So I
Yeah.
mean that was just cool. And I don't know how much I'm definitely not gonna say it just because I don't want to get in trouble. But
Hmm.
like I'm even having private conversations with part of their team for a feature that they're looking to bring out that we're going to be a beta tester for, Benbox
Hmm.
Comics.
Yeah.
Because we're so vocal about the platform because we have such a big presence there and because we are continually growing.
Yeah.
They actually reached out to us and asked us if we would like to be part of this beta program. And it's something that is very exciting and I can't wait for it. And it's along the lines of like helping out these creators who have been kind of burned by the whole diamond situation, these indies that's like, what are we going to do now?
Mm.
So Global Comics is fantastic. They're making huge moves. They're definitely creator focused. So yeah,
Nice.
I'll expect my check in the mail. That's what
Oh,
I expect.
I'll send it up the chain.
Yeah,
So
yeah, thank you.
no problem. But yeah, so there is an add-on here where you can access the entire Bent Box library on Global Comics, which is exciting to me. Yeah, I was never the biggest fan of digital comics. I
Me
have
neither.
wanted to read
I
comics.
like it right here. I like this. That's another reason why nine times out of 10, if you get one of our books, we hate doing cheap prints, but it's because I
Mhm.
just love that physical touch. So it's funny. The printer we go to, we literally just say, give it the bent box, just do the bent box.
Uh,
And it's because it's a matte finish with velvet touch, heavier weighted paper. It's because I love that feel of a comic book.
yeah.
So I'm with you. But at the same time, if I don't need to go buy it or find it or carry it with me and I'm on a plane or something, I can just read a comic. It's so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, right now I'm the guy that just has issues building up all over my house. But then when it's time to read, I just pull out the iPad and I go on one of the subscription services, and there we are.
It's funny. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have to have it in my house. I have to know it's there. So
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, collector mindset, and it's just cool that old school touch. It's
yeah.
just that's what it used to be. It used to be very tactile and physical, and it was just I have this creation in my hand. I mean, that's the first time I got artificial printed, and I held my first comic book I've ever done in my hand. I mean, my children, that was pretty cool, but this was really good. I'm just kidding. Uh, it was good though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, there's just something about that. Another thing about the Global Comics, um, if you back it, so that the digital tier, the PDF that you get, if you're a fan of any of our books, and if you've been following along or backing our books, you should know by now that typically when you back our books, and then those digital tiers go out, the digital rewards,
Hmm.
they'll go out in an email form which says, like, here's your PDF file, here's the drive link to the PDF file, and then we always include a code to access it for free on Global Comics. And we actually incentivize, we say, like, to be honest, we would like you to use Global Comics to read this digitally. It helps
Mhm.
us track views, it helps us track demographics, it helps us understand our fan base. And so that's how much we're into global comics. So like typically when you get a Kickstarter and you back it and you get your digital PDF, it's just a Google Drive and you have the physical PDF. We give you that too, but then we also give it to you digitally to carry on your phone.
Nice, nice. So yeah, man, there's a lot of cool stuff here. I don't think I think this is the first comic book Kickstarter I've seen with a coloring book attached. Um,
I mean, yeah, we've been John and I have been talking about doing that for a while. He wanted to do one for Wingless, but like a specific Kickstarter for the Wingless coloring book.
mm,
Which I would love to do that for Artificial. Artificial lends itself to being a coloring book because
yeah,
of the art style, the coloration that we put into it. It'd be really cool to see other people's interpretations, specifically like Van Gogh's visions. You see that Starry Night vibes. You could color that in. So that lends itself to it, but we just haven't done it yet. This
mm,
is one where and to be completely honest, I added this to the Kickstarter 2 days before we went live. I was looking back at my Google Drive and I saw I had the inks and I'm like, this would be a perfect, why not? Here you
yeah.
go. And so I just basically mocked up this coloring book real fast and there you go. So now we have a coloring book that's going to be offered, which I'm super excited about. Because I would love to bring this to cons. I would love to have it be like a free throw-in if you buy
Mm,
Refugee or something, or specifically for kids. Like yeah, I'm very excited about this.
yeah, there's a lot to be excited about. So, like I said, guys, by the time you see this, the campaign's got just under 3 weeks left, and my hope is that it's been funded already, and that we're well on our way to that stretch goal. Because at 8,000, you get the second issue just a few months after your first issue, like
Yeah,
for the price of one, two issues for the price of one. If we can reach this $8,000 stretch goal, I don't even want to know what the $10,000 goal is, and there's a
it's
five
gonna be
thousand
cool.
dollar goal on the way there. So, whoops. See, I'm so excited. I'm hitting the microphone cable. Uh,
Yeah, I'm excited
so
too.
yeah, no, this book looks amazing. I can't wait to have it in my hands. I already pledged. I got to go update my pledge so I can get this coloring book, or Squeak will have my head. But
Yeah,
yeah, this is fun. This is fun. So uh, I want to say good luck on the campaign. I'm very confident that it's gonna fund. I'm really just like, are we gonna hit that stretch goal? That'd be awesome,
me too, man. Like I said, I'm not worried about it, but it'd be a cool thing to be worried about.
right? And so yeah, I just want this in my hands. I'm looking at this art again, and it's just like, man, I need this.
You haven't even watched the trailer. Have you watched the trailer yet?
I have not watched the trailer.
We could end it with the trailer. I'm honestly very proud of the trailer. I don't know if the sound will come through here, but you could try it. I'm very proud of how
Oh,
the trailer turned out.
will it? Let's see. I don't know, but let's try it. And spoiler alert, that trailer went off great on YouTube. So if you want to see that or check out the video of this interview conversation, then head over to youtube.com/at comics are dope. But huge thanks to Chris for taking the time to speak with us. And congrats on a successful campaign, because spoiler alert, the campaign funded. And I will see you in another episode of Comics Are Dope, the podcast, real soon. Peace.